Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. It's great to be here with you again today. We're going to look at one that came from kind of a result of a previous reading. A question came up, but also kind of mixing in the questions from another email. As I've mentioned in the past, some of you have no contact with your people and no communication at all. And yet, for some of you, your time in separation actually looks a little bit different. Some of you can see the person that you're separated from sitting from, like across the room from you, and there's no communication or there's no meaningful communication, or you're just feeling completely shut out. And so I want to make sure that in today's reading, we are at least including that dynamic into the reading and kind of bringing it in as we ask the questions, because this is really about, why they are continuing to go down this path. So this one applies to maybe everyone, but definitely to those people who their separation looks a little bit different. Why are they continuing to go down this path? Why do they insist on doing this? If they are, I think one email said it the best. One viewer said it best. And I won't give any details, but this question was really well stated. If they love us, if this separation hurts them, why do they insist on going ahead with this parting rather than work on the relationship? And that, I think, is that's kind of the body of today's questions. And we also just kind of want to know, like, what would you need to do in order to change this? Is it, what's going to happen, for you? What needs to happen for you in order to kind of adjust the situation, or is there any way for you to adjust the situation? So that's kind of what we're going to look at today. I know it's a little bit complicated. We'll use a couple of different questions to get through it. But we'll go ahead and focus on that. So, of course, it's going to be the general reading, and it's going to be a general reading for this collective. So it won't resonate with everybody, and it shouldn't. But if it resonates with you, then by all means, maybe take a look at some of the other readings within the that have come out for this collective so far. There might be some good messages in there for you. So we're going to start out with getting the energetic backdrop, but it's the energetic backdrop energy that's going on between you two in particular, and looking at the relationship. So it's still going to be kind of something that changes like the mood, but it's really about what's happening, what's the mood and the energy in your relationship right now. So we're shifting that energetic backdrop question just a little bit, and this honors, I think, both of the emails that I'm modeling my questions off of really well. So we've got, okay, the Brother of Wind in reverse, and that's, we had the Fool that came out kind of as an honorable mention next to it. I'm actually just going to keep it. So we've got the Brother of Wind, which is a lot like the Knight of Swords, okay, but it's in reverse. So there's this willingness to jump into something. It's very duality. It's a very energy of duality, if I can get it out. So there's this feeling of being ready to jump into something new, and then there's this feeling of needing to hide and yet needing to jump into something new. It is still that feeling of back and forth, and it's not the player energy sort of back and forth. It's the I'm trying, but I can't seem to get this to work energy. I see that Ace of Chalices. There's a lot of love here. There's a lot of love that you may be able to feel. So, one person mentioned in particular in the last day or so, there's been a lot more, really ever since, I guess ever since it, it's probably the last day or so. Because I was thinking about when I got the email, and I'm like, I just got that one. So it's really the last day or so. They've been noticing a lot of feelings of waves of love coming from their person. And it's different. It has a different feel to it. So I just don't know. That's what I'm reminded of when I see this Ace of Chalices. There's definitely, there's an overflowing sensation of love here. I think we just want this top card. even after all of that coming out. So the Hanged Man, this is about a new perspective that one or both of you has recently gained. There has been a lot of shifting of perspective, and some days it seems like you're going in a really great direction, and other days it feels like you're being smothered by some sort of existential nightmare, you know, and it really kind of varies between the two with very little, no idea where you're going to be on a given day almost with that energy. But it also feels like it's not just your energy that you're feeling, and that when it's coming in, it may be very different from your own. And so it might seem like a pretty dramatic difference, not necessarily a mood swing. I don't get the sense of it being like you're having mood swings. I get more the sense, and you may be, but I don't think that's what that card is communicating. It's more a feeling of you're having different kinds of days, where some days you feel like you're really headed in a great direction, other times not so much. Now we have this King of Swords and this Knight of Wands, and really this Six of Wands I think is prevalent in the energy as well. But so this is one that we've been seeing a lot of, especially, well, I think it depends. There's been a lot around finding your own peace, creating your own peace. And with the Six of Wands, this is victory at the end of a long battle. Here with it in reverse, it's a battle that's not yet over. And so having to kind of create some peace within the overall situation, just for yourself to be able to kind of work through the energy that it's like a marathon. This is marathon still going sort of energy, and sort of trying to find that that meditative piece, that if you are a runner or a cyclist or somebody who has to do hills, when you go up a hill, there's this kind of meditative piece that you can find if you're lucky enough to get to that place, because otherwise it's just torture. The Knight of Wands in reverse and the King of Swords in reverse are very much in alignment with what we see in these top two cards, with the Fool in the upright and then the Prince or the Brother of Winds. So that's going to be like again, the Knight of Swords in reverse. So that's this, it feels like fear and wanting to hide. The Fool feels like wanting to come out and do something. That's very Knight of Wands. It's very back and forth. It's not necessarily, like I was saying, player energy, but it is inconsistent. So we have a lot of inconsistency. And with the King of Swords, it's that inability to use they actually have quite an ability to step back and take a look at the situation and use what they see there to come up with a good plan. But for some reason, it seems like they're not really using it. Let's see what else is in here. And this seems like it's focusing on your person pretty heavily here in this early energy, because this is supposed to be the energy between you, but really what's coming out is the energy for them. We will definitely be focused more on you when we get to the part about what you could do to maybe make a change for this. But at this point, when I'm asking for the energy between the two of you, there's so much coming, like bleeding out from their end of it, that I almost can't see yours. And it doesn't feel like it's because it's like theirs is hiding yours. Yours is behind theirs. Now there's this Ten of Wands. It does feel very much shared. And so is this Four of Chalices after all that. It feels like the Ten of Wands, what's shared about it, it's coming out very differently for the two of you. But what's shared about it is this sense of, I've taken on something with regard to the responsibility, the mental responsibility. And it's part of what's overloading both of you. That overload looks very different. This Four of Chalices is like a Four of Cups. It's water energy, and it's about disappointment. That one's showing up pretty differently for the two of you as well. But it is not necessarily... It's not quite the same as the Ten of Wands, which actually just shows up incredibly differently. This is like having too much on your plate versus not being able to handle having very much on your plate, kind of. And your person is more in the position of the latter right now. They're emotionally not able to handle very much on their plate. We've got the Five of Pentacles. So Five of Pentacles being the kind of bringing out the portions of the lesson around the big three that we talk about. When the Five of Pentacles comes out, it often has a feeling kind of like this one, where we've got there's a desire to kind of stay away from anything that could bring abandonment or betrayal, that could create rejection. And that's where we get some of this behavior in your person, where they will avoid everything that seems like it might lead down a road like that. So that's the lesson that is kind of coming out for both of you, but that looks pretty different for the two of you as well, because it's more going to show where you are on that path, and you won't be in the same place on this path. A lot of you are a little farther than your person on healing from this. However, this is the big thing that binds you in this relationship as far as lessons. Otherwise, you have a lot of lessons that you're kind of working on individually. Here's the one that you probably have much more in common. And that's it for your current energy together. So again, really heavily weighted toward their side, but let's go ahead and take a look. So this is, I'm going to restate that question. You know, if they love us, if this separation hurts them, why do they insist on going ahead with this parting rather than to work on this relationship? And this person also goes on to ask, you know, why this need for freedom? Do the people in this situation how do they feel and think and rationalize? And I'll be interested to see how much of that comes out in this, because it's really, you know, the main question is that first one. What is it that they, why do they keep doing, why are they going this route? Why are they continuing to go towards parting? And that was quick. We have the Father of Water. Oh, they have emotional limits. Father and Mother of Water. They have emotional limits, and they are being contrasted against something that they feel like is limitless emotion. If I had to create just an answer right there, that would be what most comes out with this card. So we have the Mother and Father of Water. It's both that masculine and feminine energy that comes out, water energy. It's like the King and Queen of Cups have come out together. And so it's really significant, because basically what it's referring to is the bond that the two of you have together, and the fact that they have such limited emotion with it. That's all that's coming off of this card, is the limited emotion and feeling like this horse is drowning in this. This horse is completely feeling like this is out of control. There's no land in sight. It's just terrifying, you know, from this perspective of, I don't know what I'm going to do next. But then we've got this limitless love coming from over here, which is really how this gets interpreted. The limitless love gets interpreted by your divine masculine as overwhelming and flooding. And that's part of the message that wants to come out here. This is why they feel like they need to go down that road. I mean, that's really the question that we're asking. If they love you and if the separation is hurting them, why do they keep doing this? They're doing it because they feel like it is going to help get them out of that situation where they're so completely out of control. And I just dropped one card. Let's see here. It almost went away completely. Like it went in a position that I just really couldn't even see it. And it was up on its side, but it wants to be used. This was the Lover's card that has come out in reverse. It came out like this, but it came out in the reverse. That's primarily the energy of it. So again, we feel that bond that we feel with the Mother and Father of Water, but with the Lover's card in reverse, there's this frustration attached to it. It feels like there's no choice in some matter, that there is always a choice, but the choice that's out there, the choice that is being given, is not really one that your person doesn't really feel like they can work with it. They don't feel like either of the options, like if it's A or B, they don't feel like either one of those options is going to be okay. And part of this has to do with them not understanding what it is that they truly even want or need. There's a lot of confusion around that. This is an 8 of chalices and not a 7 of chalices, but it has all that confusion that's left from the 7 of chalices and having, you know, just all of these options. So here they're not necessarily feeling like they have all of the options that are available to them. They may still have those options. We may even still see that card come out, because I feel like they do have options, but I don't feel like they're able to register those options properly, and that really comes out with this Lover's card in reverse as well. Even the options with you, they don't feel like they can, it feels like putting a square peg into a round hole, and they don't feel like they are capable of doing it. They've got this 5 of chalices that suggests to them that somehow this is the weirdest thing, because usually this is like the 5 of Cups. I usually love this card in the reverse because it usually has this broad perspective, or at least the ability to take the good with the bad into perspective and make a decision more like that. But this is like an emotionless 5 of Cups or 5 of chalices. It feels very emotionless. It's like the way that this person dealt with this father of water sort of limitation on their emotion was to simply cut it off completely. That's what it feels like to me. It is, it's almost emotionless. So when we ask, you know, what are they thinking? What are they feeling? I think maybe the question is going to be more, what are they thinking? Because it seems like this is part of, okay, so this feeling that makes them go to the emotionless place, this is obviously a defensive feeling. But it's making them feel like they're not able to jump. So remember, in this current energy right now, they've got a desire to jump with the Fool and the Upright. Here we've got this situation makes them feel smothered, like their energy is smothered, like they can't jump. So we've got the World in reverse. But they can't get away. So they can't get away because, and we don't want that one. We want this one. They can't get away because the situation isn't over yet. This is the World in reverse. This is the Six of Chalices in reverse. So they are doing everything they can not to think about the situation, everything they can to avoid this emotional flooding that goes on. When they do, they just feel like as soon as they dip a toe in, they automatically get, you know, taken down the stream, and they don't feel like they have the option to do this. They're really, like they're clenching into themselves to try and hide, to avoid this. But it's not even necessarily, and this is especially poignant for those ones that are in your life, that you're seeing across the room from you. They have gone into themselves to the point that, like, they don't feel, they've got that emotionless exterior going on. So it seems like they hardly ever crack, and they'll even say things to you. They'll even talk to you in some cases, but there's no getting through that exterior. That is a hardcore shell. I mean, it feels like stone when it's weird to say that I can feel it, because I dip into the emotions of both you and your person, but it's like this, going through the layers, most of the outer layers, as you get towards this person's emotional inner core, like those outer layers are just no feeling at all. No feeling at all. And then you start to get into that outer core. That is wild. Okay. Let's look into some more. See what else is coming in here. So they're deeply hiding their emotions. And there's this bond. Just won't go away. Two of Chalices, Two of Cups. There's a level of partnership they can't deny. They can't deny. They can't make it go away. And they are trying to simply ignore it out of existence or something. Like, there's action that would need to be taken. They're not taking. But, I mean, so they're not willing to engage. They're not willing to engage. I mean, really, that's what I'm seeing here. It's hiding in that emotion. It's so much flooding when they even so much as poke their nose out, you know, to take a look and see what's going on. They poke their head up a little bit, and it's this, you know, immense flooding that comes at them, and they can't handle it. And it's because of the love that's coming from you. That's what they feel like. They somehow, it's like an allergy where your body has decided to fight against something that isn't necessarily really it's not really an enemy, and yet it's creating a battle against it. And that's like what this is. You're full of unconditional love, and this person is drowning in it. So we have this Queen of Wands also that's come up. So this is interesting, because that's that attraction. We know it's there. We can feel it's there. This is the reason that they insist on being there. They haven't done what it takes to completely cut ties in the relationship in a lot of cases, and yet they won't do anything. They kind of won't do anything at all. It's just this, it's that holding pattern that we've seen. You know, we were asking in just yesterday's reading, why are we doing this holding pattern? Why are you being, and they want you in the holding pattern, but it's because they don't have any idea what to do. They don't have any idea what, and I'm not saying that like it's an excuse. It actually is something that would be better maybe talked through, but the investment. So this is around the investment. The investment that they've made is kind of what they're investigating or thinking through and testing now. And they're doing their best not to think it through, but I feel like it pops up for them at just really inconvenient times. This is not something that your person wants to face, but they kind of don't have a choice. I dropped another one. We have the Ace of Wands and the Hierophant. So this Ace of Wands feels like depression. It's the opposite of a happy new beginning, because it's them not moving towards something that is beautiful and wonderful. They've basically closed themselves up to the point where they can't open to receive anything exciting. But that feels more like depression. The Hierophant in reverse tells me that they are completely ignoring all attempts to help them or to get them out of this. If there's therapy, they're not listening to the therapy, or they're not going to it, that sort of thing. Or it's not getting through. We do need to look a little bit more deeply into this, I think, just to maybe understand a little bit more what's happening in their mind and get a feel for, like, what is the need for them to bust out? What is the need for freedom? Because I think we see some of that here, but let's get a little bit more feel for what is happening in their mind and in their heart. So that's what we're going to do in the extended. First, though, let's look at that other question around what it would take to change it. So, you know, what it would be for someone who's in this situation. Is there anything that you could be doing? What does that look like? What are your actions look like? Okay, so things are out of balance, and the first thing that pops out, and this deck has wanted to talk today, things are out of balance, and that's what you need to be able to recognize and start from there. Start from being out of balance. Don't overthink it. That is really interesting. That is a card of don't overthink it. The Eight of Swords in reverse. Eight of Swords in the upright is a card definitely of overthinking it. Oh boy, I just dropped a couple of cards here. Let's see if any of them showed face up. And yes, absolutely. So we've got the Knight of Swords in reverse. This is about trying to understand the psychology. It's not even on screen. This is about trying to understand the psychology of hiding. So there's going to be something that happens in your life that allows you to kind of understand the psychology of wanting to hide. But it's going to be a situation where you're seeing it like from above. You're seeing it from the outside, where you don't actually have a need to hide. You might have a little bit of a desire to hide. That's interesting. So that's the Devil in reverse, saying there's some kind of, there's some kind of problem that has been worked out here, that you're going to discover your natural response to it might be hiding. I turned a whole bunch of them over and then shuffled. So you're going to feel like your natural response to it might be hiding. But you're going to understand why that's not the right response anymore. That's part of it. I'm trying to figure out if there's a better way to kind of describe that. But again, with the, hey, things aren't right, don't overthink it. You don't, this reminds me of the fact that you're in a situation that has developed over time, and you might not realize how strange this would be. If you looked at this from the, if you looked at this from the perspective of yourself a few years ago, what would you see? What would you think is happening? What would you do? What would you encourage yourself to do? It's that kind of message. We've got the Ace of Swords. There's a truth that you're not seeing here. And it's not because you refuse to see it. It's because it's kind of hard to see from your perspective. Things are not working. Things are not workable. Not the way they currently are. There's a sense of just don't continue to struggle in this web. It's like the harder you push, the more they are going to push away. However, there's this feeling of like being stuck already in this web. There's already this feeling of being stuck in the web and kind of needing to, almost like Stockholm Syndrome. This has got a Stockholm Syndrome feel to it. So look that up if you're not familiar with it. And just bear with me when you do, because you're going to be like, what? Kidnapping? What? Okay. So when you look at this has that same trauma bond sort of feeling to it. Trauma bond and Stockholm Syndrome are what I want you to look up from this. Those are the messages that come out here. But what you're getting more than anything is, hey, this is not, don't overthink this. You're going to understand why there's a need to hide, but you're not going to have that need to hide. And yet the most important thing for you here might be the truth that's out there in front of you, but that might be a little bit difficult to discern. This is not a workable situation. You are not encouraged to struggle against it. This is not a workable situation with the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. This is not that happy household that you would seek out. It's not got the stability that you require with the Four of Wands, emotional stability. And it has this sense of kind of, I hate to use the narcissism word, but it does have a little bit of that element of narcissism and just kind of keeping you around, dragging you back in when it's convenient to do so. So that feels a little bit dark. We're going to definitely look more into this when we get into the extended, but I think the most important thing for us to understand in the extended is how this person is thinking and feeling about this, because I can see this is the answer to the question, but I think we could do better as far as getting in and getting some additional messages about how they're feeling about it. And the reason that it's really tough to do so is because they have that shell, that exterior of non-feeling, that wants to be there. But we're going to go ahead and go into the extended now. The link is down below if you want to go there. Thanks so much for being here with me for this one, and I'll either see you in the extended or I'll see you again tomorrow.